Hello, Capricorn, and welcome to your reading. This is Bright Soul Collective Tarot, and these will be your intuitive insights and advice for the month of February 2022. This reading will be for Capricorn, Sun, Moon, and Rising. And as always, this reading will be general in nature, so not all of the messages that come through will resonate for you or apply to your situation specifically. So I do highly recommend that you take anything and everything that resonates, and also keep an open mind to the other information that's coming through, being willing to take anything with you into the month of February that you feel like might be helpful to you, and simply leaving the rest. So Capricorn, I hope that you're all doing well and that your year is off to a great start. Capricorn season just ended, so I hope you guys all had a wonderful birthday season. I'm wishing you a great belated happy birthday. And yeah, I'm really excited to read your cards today and see what comes through. So as you can see, I've already got your 3 oracle cards. I shuffled them off camera, and these were the ones that jumped out for you. So we're going to read these cards, but I will start off with some channeled messages. So I did sit down and take some time to channel messages intuitively just to see what would come through. So I will cover those first, then we'll take a read of your oracle cards, we'll pull some tarot and some clarifiers, and finish off with some affirmations. And it is my hope that I can bring through some insight and information that's empowering, and helps you connect more deeply, not only to yourself, but to the world around you, and has you coming into February feeling prepared to make the very most of the energy that is available to you. So as I said, I'm going to start off with the channeled intuitive insights. This is just something that I'm doing for fun, just to try it out, and to just kind of practice and see maybe if anything resonates for you. So definitely leave me a comment if there's something that stands out. And some of the stuff may be very specific in nature and might only apply to a couple of people. So definitely don't worry if it doesn't resonate for you. And if it does, that's wonderful. The first thing I must say is that before I even started actively trying to channel, while I was shuffling, doing the pre-shuffle of the decks and setting the intentions, usually I'm very focused and like setting the intention for the readings and the cards. And for some reason, I could not stop thinking about vacuuming my living room. And that is not me. Like, I am not that person. So I kind of feel like that might be your energy. I don't know if maybe you guys are neat freaks, maybe not neat freaks, that sounds bad, but maybe you guys like really like to have a tidy house. Maybe housework is something that takes up a lot of your time and attention. It might be something that's distracting you, or it might be kind of like an escape or a distraction from other things that are going on. So that's something to keep in mind. Perhaps it could also just be that you are feeling like distracted, and things are kind of like popping into your head while you're trying to focus on other things, because I just thought that was really funny and I would share that with you in case it makes sense. So the first thing that came to mind while I was channeling is rock and roll. So that could be obviously music, concerts. It can also be an attitude or like a feeling of like, yeah, let's rock and roll. Like let's get to it and make it happen. So however that resonates for you. The next thing that came to mind was evolution. So perhaps you feel like you are kind of in the process of evolution. Maybe that's something that you've realized is important to you, and you're trying to move toward or create more time for, or maybe that's something that, the month of February might be helpful in terms of focusing on your own personal evolution and whatever that means to you. The next thing that came was kind of related, and it's finding happiness. So finding happiness was the first thing that popped into my head, and then specifically the pursuit of happiness, which made me think of the song. And so it could be, I think there's a movie too. So I don't know if either that song or that movie, maybe the lyrics mean something specific to you, or if you really feel like you're currently on a path of trying to align with your happiness. Maybe that's one of your main priorities, or that's the energy you're in right now. The next thing that came to mind was the month of September. So that really could be anything. It might be something personal to you. There could be an event or, something that you're looking forward to in September, some kind of celebration, some kind of gathering, a notable date, something like that. However that applies to you. The next thing I got was nocturnal. So maybe some of you are feeling as though you're nocturnal. Maybe you're having a hard time sleeping at night. Maybe you've got a bit of insomnia. Maybe you're just kind of like burning the midnight oil and staying up late on a regular basis, and it's like throwing off your sleep patterns and your energy for the day. So either like consciously or unconsciously, you're just not really necessarily sleeping at night, maybe not getting quality sleep. The next thing that I got was guiding light. And so I kind of felt this in like two different ways. So guiding light could either be in the sense that you feel that you need a guiding light. So maybe you're feeling a little bit lost, maybe like you're needing clarity, like something to kind of focus and hone in on to help guide you through like a period of darkness or a period of not being sure. Or it could be that there's someone in your environment, someone that's like really a great pillar of light for you, someone that kind of lights up your life and brings in some like happiness and joy when things are feeling kind of bleak. So that however that makes sense for you. And then the next thing was favorite things. So that could be literally your favorite things, the things that you enjoy doing, the things that light you up, trying to create more time for that and connecting with those things. It could also be the song, like these are a few of my favorite things. Maybe that song specifically, or I don't know, I guess, is that from The Sound of Music? I have no idea, but well, however that makes sense to you. The next thing, it was kind of neat. It was like this weird double header, and it's related to something Greek. I don't know specifically if Greece or Greek things in general are like on your radar right now. But the first thing that came through was Sinopolis. Like it's either, I don't know. I don't even know what that is, to be honest with you. I don't know if it's a name. It was like Sinopolis or Sinopoli or Sinopolis or something like that. Literally, I have absolutely no idea what that is. Like no clue. So yeah, maybe that makes sense to you. If that specifically makes sense, I would love to know, because that just shook me. I'm like, I have no idea what Sinopolis or Sinopoli is. I have no idea. But then the next thing on this kind of Greek theme was actually the Acropolis. And Acropolis is like, I have a general idea of something. It's like something in Greece, but I didn't know exactly what it was. So I did a little bit of research. And the Acropolis is in Athens. It's obviously like it's a landmark. I think it's like a heritage site, like UNESCO or something like that. But the thing that stood out to me that's really cool is that at one point in time, it was actually a place where people went to worship the goddess Athena. So you might have a connection to the goddess Athena, an interest, and maybe an interest in Greek mythology. Maybe, somebody, or you're close to somebody who is Greek or named Athena, who knows. The next thing I got was fresh perspective. So I kind of like, I'm really just digging the vibe in general. Like it seems like there's a lot of personal development, a lot of like kind of trying to connect with things that are light and enjoyable. That's the kind of the energy that I feel like you're in. Maybe you need to be in that place because things have been feeling heavy, but it seems like you are actually like looking for opportunities to kind of change your perspective, to find a different way to approach your problems, or, maybe like a way to revive your outlook on life and your inspiration. And you're kind of willing to kind of take from different areas and different perspectives to kind of see what works best for you, maybe to kind of like move out of whatever energy you have been in. The next thing that I got was "God damn it," like, and in like a kind of a funny way, like an exclamation out of like frustration or whatever. That's definitely not mine. That is not something that I ever say or even think. So the fact that it came to me made me laugh. So maybe that is something that you say a lot. Maybe you're in a place where things just kind of keep happening and you're like, oh, damn it, like, I don't know if that makes sense for you. And the last thing that came through was greatness, which I'm like, that's a really cool way to end it. Because like I said, it kind of goes hand in hand with this whole evolution, guiding light, favorite things, fresh perspectives. So it's kind of like maybe you feel like you're ready to get on the path of greatness, or to discover or connect with, or even reconnect with your own greatness. Start standing in that energy and expressing it outward. So I don't know. I really liked the overall vibe. So I'm curious to see what will come out in the cards. So let's start. So your first card is Dance with Life, and it says do something to change your energy. Next, we have Fluorite. Okay, and finally, the word wants to be written. And the interesting thing is, immediately I notice, just because like I kind of like numerology a little bit, I'm a number person, but this is number 24 and this is number 42. So those are kind of like mirrors of each other, but also this adds to 6. So the number 6 might be important to you. That might be your number. It might be a number that has significance to you in some other way, or even like a number that kind of comes up regularly for you now, or maybe in the month of February. And even like you could be, if you know about life path numbers, you could be a life path 6. I know the number 6 is usually about like, it's kind of about like stability and like harmony, and usually it's about some kind of like abundance or celebration. And a lot of times it can have to do with family and relationships, and just kind of like everything being in harmony. So that's something that you might keep in mind, or maybe research if you have an interest in it. Just putting that out there. So yeah, the first thing that comes to mind, seeing all 3 of these cards, they all align in the sense that it's kind of like you might be feeling like you're a bit stagnant. Like maybe your energy is a bit stagnant. Maybe your life situation is a bit stagnant. Things just feel kind of stuck. They're getting kind of old. There's nothing really kind of like new and exciting. And the challenge when we are facing that stagnant energy, or we're in like a slow period where things are just not really moving or changing, is that like that can be difficult enough, right? Just like not having stimulation, and like not necessarily feeling like there's anything to look forward to, and just kind of like the same old thing like day in and day out, that can wear on you. But then it can also get you into a point where you kind of start to disconnect from the things that do matter, and the ways that you can kind of, change that, the way that you can bring like new energy into your life, and the things that you can do to kind of, shake things up a little bit so that you're not feeling so stuck. And I'm sure like a lot of us are feeling this energy too, just with lockdowns and COVID and the restrictions that are in place. It's not as easy to do the things that we once did. And so maybe that's also a big part of it. Like maybe you've been feeling really deeply impacted by these big changes that we've been going through, and kind of the limitations that have been placed on you. And it's been like a long, slow road of getting kind of worn down. And maybe the things that you used to do to kind of change things up from the usual, that kind of kept you from feeling so stagnant. Maybe those things are things that are not happening right now, or that you're not able to do anymore. And so maybe you're kind of at a loss for like how you can keep things exciting and not get kind of dragged down by this like slow, stagnant energy. And so the interesting thing with Dance with Life, so like that definitely does support an idea of like things being stagnant or a little bit stuck. And it's basically saying that no matter what your external circumstances are, even if absolutely everything is out of your control and you can't necessarily connect with anything outside of yourself that's going to give you that little boost of excitement and like shake things up a little bit, it's really important to know that you always have the power and ability to do that for yourself, simply by getting into your own body, like connecting with yourself, and kind of like, yeah, it's like connecting with yourself and your body through movement. And so it depends on whether you really believe in energy or not. Some people don't, but it's like that's what drives all of us. Like it connects all of us. And so the thing is, especially if your energy is feeling low and slow and stagnant, sometimes you don't need a solution. You don't need a distraction or something outside of yourself to get you going again. Sometimes it's just changing your own routine, right? Doing something different, because we can be creatures of habit. We can fall into routines, and then we're kind of operating from the subconscious. We're not necessarily in the present moment and aware of what we're doing and thinking. And so that makes it really hard to connect to the things that already are meaningful in our lives, and that we can kind of like lean into when things are feeling slow and maybe boring. And so that becomes your energy, that becomes your vibration. You're kind of just slowing down and getting dragged down by everything. And so sometimes just doing something as simple as just doing something different from what you usually do, right? So this is specifically saying like to dance, like throw on some music, throw on a song that makes you want to like dance around or like, you know, headbang or whatever. Like rock and roll came out. Like maybe you want to listen to some like rock and roll music or some heavy metal and you want to like just like get that out, like get your energy moving again. And it might be something just as simple as that kind of, it allows you to shift your energy. It allows you to start moving around, and it doesn't have to be dancing. If you do have a talent or an interest in like a creative outlet, like singing or whatever, but it could even just be getting out for a walk. It's doing something, literally anything that moves you, anything that is out of the norm, because as soon as you do something that either requires you to move your body and kind of like connect through yourself, like music is such a great way to do that. I think that's why that's the recommended action in this case. But when you're kind of in your routine and you're in a low energy and things are stagnant, that's how you're experiencing and connecting with the world. So literally doing anything outside of the norm can shift your energy because it brings you more into the present moment. You know, you have different experiences in your physical reality, but also like in terms of your own personal experience, like your emotions, your thoughts, your feelings. So sometimes it's just like changing things up, doing something different. And it doesn't have to be anything really drastic, but it's acknowledging that even the most mundane things, even if it's doing a puzzle, even if that's something that you never do, and it's like, I'm going to sit down and do a puzzle, that could be something that shifts your energy, right? So really it's about taking a moment to connect with yourself. And it's like, what would feel good? Even if it's something completely bizarre, even if it's something you've never done before, and maybe something you're not even necessarily excited about, but the idea comes to you and you're like, hey, that could work. Like, be open. And know that like you are the key to shifting your own energy. And that there are ways to do that don't rely on, you know, the things that we usually enjoy, like going out or being social or, you know, like having a promotion to work toward or whatever. So yeah, so connecting with yourself and kind of allowing yourself to change your vibration. So it's not just the energy around you, but it's actually you connecting with something that's a little bit more upbeat. Because with fluorite here, that again, it kind of supports the idea that things might be slow moving. You might be feeling stuck. You might be feeling bored and things are stagnant. And the trouble is that it's really difficult to connect with our passion and our excitement for life, even just the daily grind, like getting up in the morning and feeling good about life and like what lays ahead, even if there's nothing exceptional on the docket for the day. It's like, it's really hard to connect with joy and excitement and inspiration on the day-to-day when things are feeling slow and stagnant. And so it really is challenging you to kind of like start becoming aware of maybe the ways that you're holding yourself back from connecting with things, because sometimes we can get ourselves into that space, like I said, where because it's not really manifesting in our external environment and we're not having those types of experiences and things aren't moving forward, sometimes we trick ourselves into believing that like we are not moving forward, or maybe like we're not capable or we're not doing enough. And it ends up being something that we internalize as like representative of our self-worth. And that can kind of get us even deeper into the hole. So it's like, if you're already feeling a little bit low because things are like kind of boring, and then you start taking that on a personal level, it's about recognizing your own like relationship with yourself, how you regard yourself, and where does your mind go when you're experiencing those periods of stagnancy? Like, do you beat yourself down? Like, do you feel like you're not doing enough, or maybe like you're not worthy of whatever it is that you want? Because this is basically saying like you deserve to have everything that you want, and maybe you can't see that right now. Maybe you can't see that because it's not manifesting, and maybe there are cycles that you've been stuck in and experiences that you've been having repeatedly that are causing you to think like, hey, well, maybe I'm not meant to have this job, or maybe I'm not meant to make money, or maybe I'm never going to meet my soulmate or the person, that I want to be with for good, or like to have that healthy relationship, right? Or whatever that is for you specifically, whatever it is that's going to like fill you up and make you feel happy. Maybe you're so caught up in the experiences that you've had to date and like kind of allowing your past experiences and however that has made you feel about yourself, however that's influenced your opinion of yourself, maybe you're kind of carrying that with you in the present moment and like into the future. And maybe you're subconsciously like blocking yourself because you're allowing those experiences to dictate, like, well, this is how it's been, this is how it is now, this is how it's always going to be. And so it might actually be preventing you from connecting with the types of opportunities or the types of people that you're really looking for, because you've internalized maybe like a belief that you can't have that, or you can't connect with it, or there isn't that person out there, or there isn't that job, or like, it's challenging you to become more aware of your beliefs about abundance. So, and abundance comes in all forms. So abundance can obviously be material. It can be in terms of money and having like a good, stable career. It can be in like material things. Abundance can be in, having a happy, healthy family. It can be, a really lovely partnership. It can be, having lots of friends, or a wonderful hobby, or great like outlets. It can be literally anything. And so if you're focused on, prosperity and manifesting abundance, it's being aware of the fact that that's more than just financial. And even if you've been really focused on career and money, which would not surprise me for Capricorn, that's like your wheelhouse, right? And so because it's your wheelhouse, I think it's important not to make a comfort zone out of focusing on career and money. And like, I think obviously like family will come into that, relationships can too, because that's part of stability and that's part of earth energy, is having the big picture, right? But obviously like money and work can be a major point of focus. So it's acknowledging that can be your comfort zone, and that sometimes you can get carried away trying to manifest that abundance or trying to manifest more. And what you're asking for is more, and you're worried about not having enough. But maybe the things that are actually showing up for you are providing you an opportunity to connect with a different type of abundance. It might be like really solid friendships, or people that you can really like speak to honestly about deep, meaningful subjects, which might like in turn help you come to realizations that can benefit you, or individuals that you can connect with who might be able to connect you with certain opportunities that you're not connecting with now. And so it's like whatever you're trying to manifest can come to you in a variety of different ways, and it doesn't necessarily have to be in the way that you want or the way that you expect. And so it's maybe paying attention to the abundance that surrounds you, that's not necessarily financial, or that's not career. And then in addition to that, trying to recognize any blocks that you have around receiving. So like maybe receiving money, financial stability, maybe going after whatever job it is that you want. Maybe you need a promotion, maybe you need a raise, maybe you need more recognition for the work that you're doing. And then like I said, I feel like relationship wise also. So yeah, it's important to keep in mind that even if you've had a lot of similar experiences with people, because like that stagnation, we can also stagnate in a cycle. So it's like where we're just like, running through the same kind of cycle or pattern on a regular basis. It's not that nothing is happening. It's just that what's happening is like familiar, and it always has. And that kind of like cyclical stuff can be really challenging, because especially if it's not what we want and it's not fulfilling, sometimes we can end up making a home for it in there. If we can make a home for ourselves in that energy, and it prevents us from actually learning whatever we're meant to learn and growing in whatever way we're being inspired to grow, so that we can let go of that energy, close out that cycle, and move on to something new. So I would say like whether it's like work or family or like significant others or like romantic relationships, if you're running into the same kind of energy or you're going through the same kind of situation over and over again, and it's getting to the point where you're kind of like feeling worn out and tired, and you're like, well, maybe I'm just never going to meet this person. It's really important not to internalize that about yourself, because whatever you believe, that's going to influence your reality. That's going to influence how you feel about yourself, how you show up, how you present yourself to others, and that will influence who's drawn to you. So you could very well be attracting the type of situations that you don't want just because that's what's always happened, and it's influenced your belief that that's all you'll have. And so that's what you're seeing, and that's what you're moving toward, instead of thinking about like, okay, yeah, this cycle has been repeating and I keep running into the same problem. So what can I do with that? What can I do with that experience and that knowledge? And like, how can I adjust my approach and maybe adjust my beliefs, and then let that cycle close out to make room for something new, someone new. I think that's really important. And the other thing is too, so with the word wants to be written, it's basically saying like, whatever you're wishing for, whatever you're dreaming about, whatever it is that you're wanting to bring into your reality or to connect with, that is meant for you. The reason that you want it and the reason that you're aware of it is because it is important to you, and because it's something that, you deserve and you need, and, you can have. Whether you believe it or not, you can have it, and it's there waiting for you. It's just a matter of dealing with whatever's going on inside of you and whatever kind of beliefs are influencing you, like whatever kind of beliefs you have. So like, it could be anything that you're trying to manifest. It could be like a creative thing, a hobby, a job. It could be, financial. It could be a trip, a house, a significant other, whatever that is, especially if that like the one thing that you're feeling that you're really missing or you're really focused on and you're drawn to. It's about taking a moment to see if there's anything, this goes well with fluorite, but if there's anything that you have internalized, throughout your life. So it could be from past relationships or past jobs. It could be teachers, bosses, parents, family members, friends, things that people have said to you, ways that people have treated you, beliefs that you've been kind of like, not necessarily forced to believe, but things that have been ingrained in you, things that you've been told you need to do or you need to believe in order to be successful. And it's really kind of acknowledging like, what is there that isn't supporting whatever it is that you're trying to work toward, right? So it's like, if you are, for example, trying to manifest like a happy, healthy, loving relationship or a significant other, right? First and foremost, how's your relationship with yourself looking? How do you feel about yourself? How do you treat yourself? Are you loving yourself? Are you accepting yourself? Are you doing the work that you need to do to be a happy, healthy person on your own, so that if and when you meet this beautiful, amazing, perfect person for you, you're going to be able to recognize that, but also take advantage of it and show up as a whole person so that you can have a healthy relationship, two wholes coming together and sharing their life, instead of two codependent people looking for the other person to fill their need, or one codependent person looking for the other person to fill their needs and make them feel better, and the other person who has a full cup that's just continuously being drained, right? So is there anything in terms of your relationship with yourself and your beliefs about yourself, just from a purely self-love perspective, that might be standing in your way from connecting with that? And like that can translate to all the different things that you're trying to manifest, because it really does start with you first, but then also like your beliefs about what you deserve, right? Because you might have been surrounded with people that kind of like tried to shut you down or shut you off from your dreams, or wrote them off as being like impractical, or, the thing that came to mind is like, oh, you can't make money producing art. Like, you're always going to be a starving artist. So like, that's not feasible. You can't follow your dreams and you can never be successful doing it. So like, do something practical and get a better job, right? And so it's like, maybe that's something that you've internalized and that's not yours. That's not what you want, but it's something that you picked up along the way, and it alters the way that you think about yourself, the way that you perceive your ability to be successful, and even just the value that your dreams have, right? And maybe it's disconnected you from the things that you want to create. And that can be the same in terms of, relationships. Maybe somebody told you that you don't deserve something, or maybe that's something that you internalized, based on the way that somebody has treated you in the past. So it's really, this is like a huge, so this like light in the center of the forehead is kind of like it's kind of like an enlightenment, an awakening, an understanding, and recognition of self. And then there's this opportunity for transformation, right? And like, so she's also crying. So it's like release. It's being able to release any pain, anything that's been projected onto you, especially any kind of guilt and shame, any kind of guilt and shame that you carry about, wanting the things that you want, enjoying the things that you enjoy. If there are people, that have been in your life that it's like, for example, rock and roll, if you like rock and roll music, if there are people in your life that you've connected with that mean something to you, that put that down and that don't support that, and even if they don't like it themselves, they can't be supportive of you liking it, then it's like, yeah, it's no wonder. Like eventually, if you're surrounded by enough of those people and you put stock in what they say, you're going to shut down to the very things that are the most important to you, or the things that are, you and your essence, right? And so it's important to just recognize any kind of guilt and shame that you're carrying as a result of your experiences with other people, and just being willing to let that go and to recognize that that's not truth, that's not real. And whatever it is that's most important to you, that you feel called to, whatever you're trying to manifest, that's because it's meant for you. It's meant for you and you deserve it. And you just have to believe that. You have to be willing to believe it. You have to be willing to connect with it. And you have to be willing to do whatever you need to do to kind of get out of your own way. And so that can also be connecting with yourself a little bit more, taking time to kind of like, dance with life, to enjoy, to get moving, to like shake things up and get out of your normal energy, because chances are this energy that you've been in, especially if it's stagnant, it's probably been influenced by a bunch of garbage stuff that you've experienced that isn't what you want anyways. So like, if you let it get you down and keep you in that place, how are you going to shift your energy to the place where it needs to be to attract these amazing things that you want, that are very well available to you? Like, it's there. You just kind of need clarity on what it is, and you need to accept that that's okay. And you need to just do whatever it is that will be required to bring that in, right? So aligning with it. So we'll get you some tarot cards. Your first one is the Tower. Okay, let's see what's next. And then you have the Ace of Wands. That came out reversed, so we'll read it reversed. Right, and finally, your recommended, here we go, the third is the Devil. And that's your energy. I'm pretty sure the Devil is Capricorn energy. So there you go. And okay, I'm sorry, but people always take a look at the Devil, or they hear the Devil, and for obvious reasons, they associate that with like negative or scary things, or, and that's not the case at all. It is not an inherently negative card. It's not an evil card. It's not a bad omen or anything like that. It just represents a certain kind of energy. And in this case, it is connected to Capricorn and Capricorn energy. So this is basically like, before we get there, so that you don't start freaking out about it now, like this is about you being in your energy and your wheelhouse, like making room for yourself. So let's get you one more card and then we'll start piecing this together. Ah, nice. So last card is the Page of Wands. Oh, I knew the star was going to come out for you. Star at the bottom of the deck. So maybe, like I said, the channeled messages, the vibe that I kind of got is like in a personal development space where you're looking to feel better and you're looking to kind of connect with light and like realize your own greatness and just kind of like start doing the things that are important to you. So I kind of get the impression with the star here at the bottom of the deck that maybe that's been something you've been working toward. Maybe it's recently you've come into that energy. Maybe it's been like a long, slow process of trying to like, this is like about healing. It's about healing, being willing to have the strength to look inward and to recognize our wounds, the damage that's been done, or the weight that we're carrying that is holding us back or hurting us, and being willing to work through that and release it and let it go, and to connect not only with the inner strength that allows us to do that, but the hope that that is not all that we are, and that is not all that we'll experience, and that we're able to connect with an infinite number of possibilities. And if things are not doing well right now, like we can always hope, we can always dream, and it's not letting life like really get you down because it's been a struggle. And this is like a major arcana, so that's a big overarching energy. It's like maybe you've come out of something that's like really emotional. Maybe you've been working to like heal and let go of past situations, or whether that's something that you've experienced with someone else or in a work setting or just yourself specifically. But there's like an underlying level that maybe that's what you've been working on. And you've got 2 more major arcana here too. So that tells me that the energy that you're dealing with right now, it's not just a simple like current situation, like something small scale that you're working with that that'll be resolved really quickly. These are like larger energies. This is kind of like life lesson stuff. And so the good aspect of that is knowing that, like, especially if things have been feeling really difficult, if things have been feeling heavy and it feels like a lot of work, like in a personal development type of way, that's because it is. Like, you are doing big work. You're making big leaps, even if it's taking a while. The work that you're doing is, it's meant to help you along your path. It's meant to kind of like, it's meant to help you evolve, right? And it's not easy work, and not everyone does it. And like, it doesn't even necessarily have to be anything that you're consciously aware of. Like, I'm working on myself. It might just be an underlying energy, like something that's kind of motivating you. Like, you're just motivated to feel better, whatever it is. But with the Tower is a major shakeup. It can be a loss. So it can be a loss of something like a job, a home, money, a partnership. And it's like the energy of, endings and beginnings. So something drastic may have changed for you. And it doesn't necessarily have to manifest in a physical sense. So this massive shift and this crumbling away of what has been, it's kind of like it's being torn to the ground and you're having to rebuild from scratch. So that could be a material thing, like I was saying, but it could also just be awakening to a new perspective on yourself, on your past situations, on what is available to you. It could be news. It could be, maybe even like an impending loss, or maybe you're afraid of losing something. But whatever this is, it's like it either has come into your life or it is coming into your life to really shake things up. And it's basically kind of like forcing you to move it. There's nothing you can really do to prevent it. So it's kind of like on a spiritual level, once you've had an awakening and you understand something is important to you, you can't go backwards, right? You can't unlearn that information. And if you try to ignore it, you can't go back to who you were before that, right? So that's kind of the energy that I'm getting, is like whatever has happened, whether in your external environment or whether it's just a shift in your perspective and things being shaken up. And like, maybe this is what you need, right? Like, maybe this energy, this shakeup is something initiated by you. Maybe it comes through you, in the month of February, starting to work through this stagnant energy and get things moving. And this shakeup, it might be something that's perceived as negative. It might be something that's challenging. It could even bring up really difficult emotions. And so on that level, we can sometimes resist the Tower energy because it feels like a little scary and uncomfortable. But it's not bad. And the other cool thing is, look, there's monarchs here, and also coming out of her like third eye here. So that's transformation. So it's basically saying, like, this shakeup, whether it is intentional or not, it's not necessarily something that you're going to be able to control. It's not something you're going to be able to avoid. And whatever it is for you, it's leaning into it, right? Leaning into it is going to allow you to like make the most of that energy. It's almost like you're channeling that lightning and saying, like, okay, if it's destroying this, like, let's channel it into something else. And with the Tower, whatever has been lost, it's basically saying like, yes, it's been lost and it might be difficult, or maybe you have to move on. Maybe you have to become a different version of yourself. Maybe you've been holding on to the person that you were, and that person, you've inherently been holding yourself back from your potential and the things that you want. And so maybe you have to let the parts of you go, right? Like maybe that's what's being destroyed, is these parts of you that have been holding you back. And it can be tough to let go, right? And it can be tough to kind of have to, especially if you've made I don't want to say a name for yourself, especially if that's been a big part of your personality or something that you've known of yourself, and then it's kind of like you're losing a part of yourself. But the great thing is with the Tower is basically saying whatever crumbles down, whatever falls away is meant to, in our best interest. And the benefit of losing that, even if it can be difficult or challenging, is that we get to rebuild. And because we are in a place to rebuild and we have the experience up until then and maybe some clarity on what didn't work, let's rebuild something new, something that feels aligned, something that feels good, something that's going to support you and being the person that you want to be, like connecting with your essence and really leading with that, and then being willing to connect with the things that you are actually wanting to create, right? So that is really, really promising. And your challenge here is basically like feeling like your spark has been put out, right? And so this could be that you have actively been avoiding or denying yourself the opportunity to connect with the things that are exciting or inspiring, maybe to connect with creativity. Like if you're somebody who like your outlet is like a creative one, and that can mean anything. Like it doesn't have to be just art, right? Like it can be anything that allows you to kind of just express yourself. And with this, the word wants to be written. It could also be that writing is important to you. Maybe you don't even realize that, but maybe even just writing out your thoughts and feelings can help give you some clarity and like help you recognize your blocks, because sometimes it's not until we actually have to define something in words that we realize what it is that we're feeling or experiencing. So that could be helpful. But yeah, it's not letting this kind of like stagnant energy get you down and completely extinguish your flame, and not being resistant to kind of letting those ideas have a place in your reality, right? Because it's like you might have thoughts coming to mind, like, oh, I'd love to do this. I would love to go here and love to go there. And obviously there are certain restrictions in our external environment that we can't do anything about at the time. But, in terms of the ideas that come to you, the inspiration that comes to you, the things that make you feel excited or inspired, it's being willing to accept that those are important things to you. Those are important to your path. They're probably important to your healing. They're probably important to manifesting whatever it is that you're hoping to get. And so it's really a part of you to be nurtured. And so not to turn a blind eye to it, not to let the flame, the spark be extinguished, and not to kind of like keep it contained or suffocate it, right? So your recommended action is like, this can be the devil also, like this, like I said, this is your energy, right? So this could just be about like really standing in your power, really connecting with yourself, prioritizing yourself, and focusing on your strengths, focusing on the things that you enjoy and making time for that, and really like just being your absolute most authentic self without any reservation, right? But also, if you're struggling in any way, if you have any kind of vices, for example, if you have distractions, it could be substance abuse, like the devil is all about the world of the material and like manifesting in the material world. And it's a very powerful energy, but it's also the fact that sometimes we can put too much importance on those things. So sometimes so it can be about hedonism and like overindulgence too, but sometimes we just put too much pressure on the material things. So it could be your looks, it could be superficiality, it could be, material items, it could be a job, it could be finances. So sometimes we get too carried away putting too much emphasis on the material world and that kind of material abundance, and that can get us off track. It can kind of skew our morals and our values. And it doesn't mean that like you're a bad person or anything like that. It just means that like sometimes we can get sucked into that, right? Like it's being seduced by those things. And then sometimes we end up making decisions that aren't healthy for us, or that we know aren't right or aren't aligned, because it's just like, it's easier, right? It's easier because there's something alluring about it, and we're hoping that that's going to give us the fulfillment that we're looking for, but it's kind of like a trap. So it's being able to connect with yourself authentically and knowing what's important to you, and investing in the things that feel good. And if you do have some kind of vice or some kind of distraction, or if you've been putting too much effort on the things around you, like the external, like material stuff, it's not being afraid to connect with yourself and like dive a little bit deeper. And it can also be like being superficial and maybe like judging people, maybe like on their appearance, or like for their job or the money that they make, and you might be missing out on the opportunity to really get to know someone, because if they can sense that you're coming from a really superficial place where you've got high expectations for yourself, or like those are the things that you value, even people who have a little bit more depth and they have a lot to offer, in terms of connection on an emotional level, sometimes they shut off, right? Because they think, well, this person is just superficial and they only care about this and that. This isn't a safe space for me to share who I really am. And you could feel that way with other people. So it's also being aware of the people around you, what their values are, how they're approaching life, and not being a slave to your desires, right? Because if your desires, if it's easier for you to focus on work and money and like the external things than it is for you to kind of focus on your inner alignment and your energy and your beliefs about yourself, then it kind of keeps you stuck in that energy that things may be stagnant, right? So it's kind of being aware of anything that might be keeping you stuck, anything that has control over you, anything that you have a hard time, ignoring or resisting, but like not in like a, wow, this is wonderful and I'd really love to do it, but more like a bad habit or something. So it's really just standing in your power and really cultivating your strengths and balancing your own energy out, right? And it's just, I think this is going to be a really good month for you to just be very honest with yourself about what you're feeling, what you're experiencing, what you want. And to continue along this path of healing, I guess. And the nice thing is that the kind of outcome that you can connect with, should you choose to this month, it seems to be a very passionate and creative and exciting energy, where maybe you're taking action on the things that inspire you. Maybe you're taking time to connect with that. And like I said, it could be creative. It could be social in nature. It could be hanging out with people. It could be moving your body. So it's funny because it kind of looks like she's dancing. So like maybe you are going to start to shift your energy, and this is what it looks like. And the Page of Wands, she knows what that spark is. She knows what that spark is, and she's nurtured it, and she's at the point where she knows that it can manifest into something beautiful, right? So she's willing to honor it. She's willing to express herself authentically. She's willing to do the work to get there. And there's a sense of expansiveness, a sense of opportunity. And she doesn't necessarily know where that wand, where that fire and that light is going to take her, or how that's going to unfold, but she knows that it's worthwhile. She knows that there's a lot of opportunity, and she's kind of just able to lean into that, express that, be in the moment. And so I think that's really wonderful, is that it's giving you an opportunity. It's to go from a stagnant energy that's maybe kind of boring into to shake it up, to start transforming your energy and your thoughts and your beliefs. So we'll get you some clarifiers. Oh my goodness. Sorry, that's too many cards. Let's just try again. Okay. Let's clarify the Tower. You've got the Daughter of Cups, which I believe is the Page of Cups. Okay, now this Ace of Wands. We have the Father of Swords, which is the King of Swords. Okay, so for the Devil. Oops. Oh, I lost a couple of cards here. Oh, I actually got 2 more, so maybe I'll take those. Oh, no way. So your first card is the Devil. And for the Page of Wands, oh my gosh, I can't get it off the floor. Son of Pentacles, which would be the Knight of Pentacles. And at the bottom of the deck is 7 of Swords. I don't know if you can see that. Interesting. Yeah. So the other thing that I must say is you have a whole lot of court cards. So this, you've got the Page of Wands, the Page of Cups, the King of Swords, and the Knight of Pentacles. And so like just with Pentacles in general, like I think this is probably more your energy, but you might have a lot of people around you, right? So like with this Tower being attached to a Daughter of Cups, like, that could be a relationship. That could be something really emotional or emotional connection, either longing for one, the loss of one, trying to call one in. And interestingly enough, this Father of Swords with the Ace of Wands, perhaps there is a figure in your life that is, very logical and kind of like straight-laced and practical, and maybe that kind of contributed to, the dampening of that spark, or not necessarily putting a lot of emphasis on your passion and creativity, and maybe just like trading that for practicality. I don't know. That's just like that could be something that you're dealing with. But I do get the sense that this whole shake up, whatever it is, the way that you're going to shake up your energy, and the ways that you're going to be required to kind of like step into a new like version of yourself, I think it has a lot to do with your emotional fulfillment, right? And the opportunity to connect with people who are, in a similar place, looking for the similar thing, people who are going to be able to share like a deeper connection. There might even be, it might even be connected to your own like intuition, and maybe just like being able to connect with that a little bit more when you're interacting with people, in order to be able to tell if somebody is really jiving with you, because you can't necessarily determine that from the external or focusing on like the material kind of stuff. So if this is not a person that has maybe influenced you in such a way that you're not acknowledging or connecting with your passion and your the things that excite you, unless they're practical in nature. So this could just be that maybe you're having a hard time integrating those aspects of yourself, integrating the parts of you that long for like joy, right, and meaning and excitement in your life, and balancing that out with the more practical, logical stuff, right? Because, maybe it's just a belief system that you've inherited, or that you've kind of like come into that is keeping you stuck in this place. Because the Father of Swords, like the King of Swords, is very logical and practical. He's able to make like calculated decisions and like strong assessments, and he's able to stand firmly, but he makes decisions from a place of intuition as well. He honors his intuition. He honors the things that he can gather from the world of the unseen, and it's kind of like he's able to have like a wider perspective and take all sorts of things into consideration and balance them out when making decisions, instead of just favoring one over the other. And quite often what we favor is whatever is in our comfort zone, whatever we know, or whatever we've been conditioned to value first and foremost. So that's going to be a challenge, just kind of identifying those beliefs maybe, because I do see here that that's part of what you might have been healing, is like these damaging thoughts, damaging beliefs. It could be kind of like derogatory things, like beliefs and thoughts about yourself, because words can cut you like knives. And sometimes you internalize that, and you end up believing that or carrying it with you. And it impacts how you feel about yourself. So maybe that's what you're working to heal, is your mindset and your your perspective on life, your perspective on yourself, your beliefs about your abilities, your worth, what you're allowed to do, what's practical and what's not, what's beneficial and what's not. And with the devil here twice, that's basically saying like, because this is your recommended energy in action to kind of like help you. And with the devil being here, I obviously covered what the devil means, but like that's just, there's absolutely no doubt. Like this is about you. This is about your energy. This is about connecting with yourself, authentically owning yourself, cutting the ties from anything that is keeping you stuck, right? Anything that's keeping you in an unhealthy pattern, anything that's keeping you stuck in materialism and like not connecting with the deeper stuff. Because I get the sense that you do want to have deeper connections. You want to have deeper and more meaningful experiences, but maybe it's difficult for you to start connecting with that in the here and now. And so getting into that energy and connecting with it and making space for it in your life right now is going to change your vibration. It's going to change your energy, and it's going to help you to draw in the people who are in that place. But you have to get there for yourself. And it's just this kind of like strong energy, like, and like believing in yourself and that you can be well-rounded and balance everything out. You don't just have to focus on one area and perfect it. And with the Sun of Pentacles here, Sun of Pentacles, the Knight of Pentacles, my gosh, it's been all over all of these readings. But yeah, it's a very slow and steady, hardworking, so kind of energy. It's really like doing the work that's necessary to get where you want to go, even if it's not necessarily interesting or exciting, even if it feels a little boring and monotonous. And so it's almost like this stuff that is boring, that's just part of daily life that you can't avoid, like, oh, dishes and laundry and like maybe going to work, maybe you're bored with your job, whatever it is, the parts of your routine that you can't do much about. All you can really do is change your approach, your beliefs, or your attitude. Or if it's something that's like really awful, like if you can get out of that situation, then if that's what's right for you. But it's almost like bringing this Page of Wands energy into the more mundane day-to-day aspects of your life, so that while you're putting the work in to get to where you want to go, and this can also be in whatever you're trying to cultivate and work on and bring in for yourself, it's being able to balance the practical, put your head down, work, have your stability, have your abundance, but also being able to be creative and expressive and social and like, you know, having relationships, connecting with people, connecting with the things that excite you, bringing your own personality, your own excitement. And it could be sharing more of yourself. I get the sense that maybe you're hesitant to share those aspects of yourself. Maybe you're known as like a really practical, hardworking person, and maybe you've got like a lot of passion for something. Maybe you've got a lot of excitement. Maybe you've got like parts of yourself that you're really hesitant, maybe to acknowledge for yourself, but also to share with other people. And so it might be like, you know, being able to kind of bring both of these things into balance, so that you're not just focused on work and feeling like life is stagnant and unexciting and mundane. And you're able to bring a little bit more of the things that are important to you and the things that kind of keep your light shining into the day-to-day, so that you don't get totally dragged down. But that seems like a really good month. Like it might be a really good month to shift this energy, if that's something that you're interested in doing. So I think that's it for your reading. I'm going to pull you a few affirmations just to tie things up. We'll see what comes out for you. I just can't believe you got the Devil twice. There's no question about that. Oh, look. Oh my gosh, I totally overlooked this. So yeah, the Devil is number 15. 1 and 5 is 6. So you've got 6, 6. You've got 6s here. So like I said, that seems to be your number this month. Okay. Sometimes no is the most loving response. So being mindful of your energy, mindful of, you know, not overcommitting, setting boundaries. So for example, if somebody asks you to help out, or if they ask you to hang out and you're really not feeling it, or you need to prioritize yourself, don't be afraid to say no. I think that's where like ghosting and like that kind of stuff comes from, is like people are afraid to just speak honestly and really say what they want to do. And I think if that is you, if that's something that you struggle with, you're going to benefit from standing in your own power and just lovingly, saying no. I trust that my gut reaction is the truth underneath the surface of my fears. So that could be it too. Maybe you're being like maybe guided or controlled by your fears as well. And maybe that's what's like inspiring this kind of stagnant energy or keeping things from moving forward. So yeah, it's tuning into your gut reaction, because like maybe you are an intuitive, sensitive person. Maybe that's important to you. Maybe it's not, but we all have that basic kind of reaction. We can tell when something doesn't sit right with us. And so I would start paying more attention to that and honoring it, right? If I want to feel supported, I must support myself. So it's kind of neat because it's like the word wants to be written. What you want wants you. And like you really are the key. And so especially if you're looking to things outside of yourself, like money or a career or a relationship to kind of like break you out of this funk and get you feeling better, or like fill a need or something that you don't have, it's like the capacity to generate that and experience that is totally within you. You can do that right now. You don't need anything external. Those things will be bonuses like once you do connect with that energy. But if you can do that for yourself and get there for yourself, you're going to be in such a good position to connect with all these wonderful things that are important to you. And then finally, I surrender it all. So yeah, letting go of whatever it is that's keeping you stuck, whether it's fear, guilt, conditioning, whether it's just a habit, whether it's your past experiences that have, gotten you to a place where that you expect that, all you've ever had is all you'll ever get, or all you've ever been is all you'll ever be. Whatever it is that's holding you back, don't be afraid to let it go. And don't be afraid to let go yourself. Get into the moment, enjoy yourself. Even if you feel silly, like if you just dance in your own place, like nobody's going to see you, right? So that's another thing. If you feel silly about like doing something like that, like putting music on and like dancing around silly, even in your own space where literally no one can see you, what is there to be embarrassed of? What are you worried about, right? Are you afraid of self-expression? Because are you judging yourself? Maybe that's devil too. So don't be afraid to let go. Let go of whatever is holding you back and trust that it's only going to help propel you forward and help you rebuild something and connect with something that's going to be more inspired and more fulfilling, so that you're not feeling so stuck and you have a little bit more excitement in your life. So Capricorn, that is your reading. I'm going to leave this here. I hope that was helpful. I hope it resonated for you. Thank you for sticking it out. I know it's a long reading, but I think that this is some really good energy for you. If you enjoyed this reading, please feel free to like and share with anyone that you think might be interested in this kind of information. I have readings for all of the zodiac signs. And you can feel free to hop over to my channel at Bright Soul Collective Tarot. Take a look at my other videos and subscribe to my channel so that you can get notifications and have access to my videos as they're posted. And yeah, Capricorn, it's been a pleasure reading for you. I really am wishing you all the very best. I look forward to reading for you again in the future. And in the meantime, I'm wishing you all the best.